Welcome to a powerful edition of our Authors Celebration series. And today we're honored to spotlight The Anchor Holds, a deeply personal and inspiring collection of poems by Ciara Lewis. This is written from real life experiences spanning trauma, healing, motherhood, faith, and growth. This book is raw, yet uplifting journey from tragedy and grief to joy and strength. So we have Ciara right now joining us today. So Ciara, you stated that writing these poems in high school. What inspired you to finally publish them as a collection?
So my grandma and my uncle were my biggest inspiration. They always wanted me to do more with it. They wanted me to do a book or, put it on like mugs or something. And of course, I always told them, okay, I'll do it. Never really got around to it. Um, they actually both passed away the year of COVID. And so that's really what finally inspired me to make the push and go ahead and get the book published.
Sorry to hear that, but I'm happy that this actually pushed you to find the courage to share this with the world. So your book's mantra is defined by tragedy, grief, and happiness. How does that mantra shape your life and the healing?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear. How did it? What?
How did that mantra shape your life and
True. It's really been a challenge, especially because I think a lot of times we go through things and we don't really know how to process it, maybe, or how to let that out. And for me, writing has always been that outing for me. And when I was writing these poems, it's like I could just feel the heaviness lifting off of my shoulders. Um, and at the same time of writing it, I always told myself, I'm sure this would maybe inspire the next person or allow them to see that there is still a light there at the end of the tunnel. I know that's what it's done for me, and that was my goal with writing this book, is to hopefully provide that inspiration for other people.
That's wonderful. And I know that all of these comments are very attached to your feelings, very emotional collection. What was the process like for you revisiting all of these experiences and reliving the feelings and the emotions all over again?
Um, it's funny because I was actually going through it the other day, and I found myself crying at times, and then I was laughing at times, and it took me back, but it took me back to a good place because it allowed me to see like how much I've grown since then, and how it's basically shaped me into the woman who I've become today. But yeah, it was really nice to see that. It was like a stepping stone for me. So.
That's nice. That's wonderful. Well, was there a time where there was a temptation to kind of rewrite the entire thing, just scrap it because it seems like childish, this is not you anymore. Was there a space where or a time when you were working on this particular book that I really am not comfortable doing this? Let me just scrap and rewrite everything.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
How do you go about it? Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's something that kind of happens to all of us as a writer. Um, Especially, sometimes when you get that writer's block, or, you write one thing and it seems like, oh my gosh, that sounds really good. Or that felt great. But then you write something else and you're like, oh, I'm not really too sure. But when you think about what you were feeling at the time that you wrote it, like what was that situation? I think it hits different, and so when you go back and you read it again, you're kind of like, oh, okay, like that actually does fit. That makes sense. And I feel like that's kind of what happened to me when I went back and I reread through, the manuscript before the book came out. Um, I was just like, I struggle with some of these, I felt like, but then when I went back and reread it and I thought about what was happening to me at that time, it made so much more sense. I do know there were a couple of these that I really wasn't sure if I even wanted to put in the book, but again, I knew that it helped me. And so I just, said, surely it would help someone else. And like I said, I think it really just depends on the position that you're in, or the situation of how you interpret what you're reading.
That's true. That's true. That's wonderful. Well, I'm glad that you decided to push through with it, because I know a lot of people will be touched, will resonate, they'll understand that there is a place for these feelings, and it's not just something that I can hide inside of us. That's wonderful. Yeah. Well, what advice do you have then for others, maybe a reader or a writer that's just starting and trying to find their strength, the bravery in them to move forward with writing and sharing their knowledge?
I definitely recommend always keeping something to write with at all times, because if you're anything like me, which is another way these poems came about, when it hits you, and you got to get it out. I've literally wrote most of these poems at probably like 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, just because that seems to be when the message hits me. Um, and at the same time, again, don't be afraid to write it down, because at the end of the day, it's your feelings, it's your story, it's not anybody else's. And your story may resonate with someone and it may not. But at the end of the day, it's for you to tell. And all that matters is if it's comfortable for you and you're ready to share it, then that's the beauty of it. That's where you go with it. And that's pretty much what I did with these poems.
That's wonderful. That's true. And sometimes, and I think it's not just some people. Most people are afraid because they think that they're not good enough. Has that was that particular, was that a fear that arrived in your journey here? Did you go through that? How did you overcome?
Yeah, actually, it was, especially because I think a lot of times we dream something and we don't really ever know how to actually get ourselves to that point. And so, of course, I've had the poems for years. Like I said, I started writing in high school, and I never really truly saw myself actually
Mm,
publishing a book. It was always talked about. It was a thought, but I never really knew the steps or seen myself doing that. Um, I know for me, it was also a challenge to actually decide to publish the domestic violence poems. Because a lot of people frown on that, or like you said, a lot
mm,
of people are just scared to put certain things out there, and I think that's one of those subjects. But again, I went on and put that out there because I want to try to help be that voice for the next woman that is scared to have that voice, and let them know that it is okay. It's nothing to be ashamed of.
that's true. And it, not everyone might like it, but I'm sure there will be people who will see that as something that's reflective of them as well, and end up helping them. So that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that, and stepping into that space of bravery, and letting us know that this is something that people can do. Going back to your grandparents who've actually inspired you to move forward with this, what do you think their advices, or what they'll tell you now that you've finally published your?
I don't. I mean, I know for a fact that they're definitely smiling down on me. I can't even imagine the words that they would say to me, truthfully, because I know that they have waited on this forever. It's funny because the book actually published exactly 5 years and 5 days from the day my grandma passed.
Oh,
So yeah, I'm a believer that everything happens for a reason, and so I just know that not only was she with me at that time, but my uncle was with me as well, and so I just know they would both be proud.
perfect timing.
Yes,
Everything falls into place. That's
yes.
wonderful. That's wonderful. Well, if there is one particular poem you'd like to share, that you've written in the Anchor Hold that had changed your life, or maybe a favorite of yours, would you mind sharing a piece of it with us today?
Yeah. Let's see. Uh, so this one, it's called "A Rainbow After Every Storm." This one just kind of resonates with me, just because I feel like there's so much going on in the world right now, and again, I think a lot of us just feel like there's no light left. Um, there is a rainbow after every storm. It's the sign that the new world was born. A reminder that the old was worn and torn. If something happy and we don't have to mourn. It's the day God let us be reborn, even though one day his son would have to be stuck with a thorn. And I think that just reminds us the point of the rainbow when we see it, and the light that is still here, despite all the darkness that's out there.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. It's pretty, pretty poem, and it gives you that hope that um, there is always that light which you can look forward to.
Yes.
It's awesome, wonderful. Well, thank you, Shara, for sharing your heart and your story with us behind the this particular book, The Anchor Hold. Your words are a true testament to the strength that can rise from the pain and the healing that can come through expression. And I love that although this had happened after losing the people that have actually inspired you to do it, but I'm glad that it has come to fruition, and I'm sure they are just as proud right now knowing that the book is finally out today. So to everyone listening to us today, if you ever face grief, trauma, or simply needed a reminder that joy is still possible, this collection is for you. The Anchor Holds ebook is now available on Amazon, so please go ahead and grab a copy for yourself. Before we wrap things up, Ciara, do you have any last few words to your readers, to your fans? Anything you'd like to tell them right now?
Yeah, just remember that the light is always there. You may have to look at times, and you may have to go through a few struggles or a couple of bumps before you get there. But never lose hope because it's still there, and you're not alone because we're all struggling somewhere in the world. But we just have to remember that we're not alone.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. If you guys are looking for an inspiration, if you're down, if you're looking for something to uplift you, this book is perfect. So please go to Amazon.com. Try to look for it. It's the Anchor Holds by Ciara Lewis, and let this be your guide, your comfort, and your reminder that you're not alone. Thank you so much, and until next time, bye.